crisis was not a Porsche, but it was getting a business and a dog. So that's how Sports and Leisure Research Group was founded 17 years ago. And it's obviously given me a great opportunity to continue to explore and deliver that truth, not just in golf, but across the travel verticals and other sports. And it's just been a wonderful ride. And I can't believe it's been 17 years. It feels like it was just yesterday.
So I'm very fascinated with entrepreneurs in particular, because the first few years you think you can solve every problem in the entire world. And then you realize you're pushing the rope up the hill. Mm-hmm. At what point in time in your business do you feel like, oh, I'm getting too close to the top and I'm getting help with the momentum of what I'm trying to accomplish?
I think in some respects, I was always preparing for this. There was always a piece of me that said I needed to do this on my own. I kind of enjoy orchestrating and running the big picture of a business. But I'm also incredibly risk averse for an entrepreneur, which is kind of funny. I didn't want to take on outside capital and was fortunate enough not to have to do that. So I got all my ducks in a row. But I think part of it is also you just never let yourself get content. Sure. I have a term I use called constructive paranoia, right? You're always looking around you from every different perspective. And that keeps you sharp and it keeps you competitive. And, I'm at a point, obviously, in my career where I could say I've had enough and ride off into the sunset. But I'm still so inspired by what I do every day that why wouldn't I do it? There's a great line, it's like, why don't you just go retire and travel and play golf and go to sporting events? And my answer is, well, I do that now, but I get paid to do it.
Well, when I think in terms, I hear about a research group, I hear about data this and data that, and they're putting all kinds of slides on the screen and saying, okay, these are the analytics and this is what you really need to do. One of the things that's interesting that I've encountered with you is how do you bring emotion? How do you bring that story into it? And I use Apple as an example. Right. They've got the most elusive and most following of anyone out there, and somebody just gets all excited about, oh, I've got the latest and greatest iPhone, but it still does the same thing it did last year. So tell me about how you married the two together, the analytics and creating these stories for your customers.
One of the great challenges that the research profession, I'm talking broadly, has faced is that, there's just this probably fairly well-earned stigma of being dumpers of data. It's just throw numbers out there, but don't have the courage to interpret it. And I have an expression I've used for a while that, and I challenge my team to do this too, the only difference between ourselves and the big name consulting companies should be $1 million per engagement. We're on the lower side of that, obviously. But that's what you have to do, because especially in this day and age where everybody is just moving at warp speed, you have to be able to not just collect data and regurgitate that data, but you have to be able to communicate how that data can be used. What is and before we start any project, we're a custom shop. A lot of research companies go out there and collect data just for an industry. We work directly with clients to help solve their challenges. We want to know at the beginning, what is it that you're trying to do? I have another interesting, all these little metaphors that I use. I wish I'd created them. I didn't, but one that I like is the one that talks about research being like a lamppost. You can use it for support or you can use it for illumination. The best research does both, because you obviously need to understand what's really going on, that truth that I talked about before. But then you also have to be able to communicate it in a way that's going to advance the business's purposes forward. So that's the best way to do it.